Days drip like falling grains of sand from a fragile heart. Hidden hourglasses that have watched us from the start, and as the last grains fall with their mustard grace, we look back on the journey from this weathered place. So much pain and stinging heartbreak, so many smiles, hopes, and near mistakes are all buried together in the heavy air, dirt frozen and stiff, as we say one last prayer. And you think back on your life and the countless views and realize that vision is something we each must choose. A swirling mess haunts our nearsighted gaze, but from up above is a brilliant fractal display. And yet the view from this morning contains nothing but morning. You're hunched on the ground, staring deep in the pit that holds the memories of our stories and courageous grit. For the darkness beneath unearths our terror and grief. It causes us to doubt and tread in disbelief that this was ever part of our story, that pain would strip away our glory. Knees calloused and worn, hearts tattered and thorned as we peer in the distance, hoping for some kind of assistance. Yet the shovel strikes the hard and frozen ground as emotions we've locked up become suddenly unbound. Seeds spill from our soul into the holes at our feet, and in that instant, you feel anything but replete. The seeds fade into the darkness that steals your breath as rain falls overhead as if violating your depth, and you look to the skies with so many questions. Your tears join in the cry of the sympathetic heavens. Let the water wash you from head to toe, for God contains mystery she wants to disclose. In a single drop, you must look no further, lies the keys to heaven in this torrential weather. Water, it ebbs, rolls, and flows, and in its grace it simply seems to know how to act out of humility, how to be still like tranquility, how to nourish the soul as it tries to console, how to respond to the bowl and give up all thought of control. For water seeks the path of least resistance, and we find it to be utterly persistent in its desire to fill the cracks of our life. It flows deep to the heart of our pain and our strife. And in that deep valley that we keep hidden away, the water drips slow and steady as if on vibrant display. For the force held within one single droplet is enough to carve canyons that flow from a faucet of rain clouds and thunderstorms, of past memories that long to inform of the force in a single moment of the word shed by a tired poet. And the bold force, as the water asserts, carves valleys and crevices deep in the dirt. Water trickles below, floods the depths of your pit, and soaks the seeds of your soul, every dry and last bit. Have you ever thought of the force contained in one single seed? The insurmountable pressure of a grain hoping to be freed, buried deep beneath ground in the dirt and the dark. The odds seem so against it, yet here, on this mark, is where hope begins to blossom, where heaven crashes in its awesome display and glory. The hero in a story, through the breaking and bending, foundational vibrations they are sending, emerges the hidden chapter in our lives of a tomorrow that has been wanting to arrive. But before it can fully break through, it sits from another point of view, waiting patiently deep in the dirt below for our hearts to traverse over fields that we sow. And when the soil is primed, divine blessing been signed, the seed shell begins to crack, the fledgling vine stops all holding back, for the spotlight is awaiting, the sun's rays are elating, the story is birthing, there's no more time for rehearsing. And yet God only knows which plant will emerge, how the story shapes up as it nears the horizon's verge. For don't let the unknown keep you held back. As the roots creep upwards, your tomorrow unpacks. Perhaps a bristlecone pine tree will awake from the ground and unlock the ancient wisdom that in old trees abounds. For the years that were heavy on your tired, aching soul now produce insight that only you can behold. Or perhaps a giant Himalayan lily shall emerge, and paths that once diverted will suddenly converge, and the love that you thought was lost in the past will mysteriously bloom and awaken at last. Or perhaps a grand red oak will sprout from this place. Branches and roots stretch miles engaged in their opposing race, connecting past lovers across hills and valleys of your life, for those love stories were true and are leading to tonight. Never doubt the love that you shared widely and free. It is the magical force in a seed, your soul's heavenly key. See, we mistake love as this scarce commodity, as if those who hand it out openly are a rare oddity. And if there's any story that we must stop telling, it's that love can be given once, a single shedding of the shelling. Let your love grow strong, let it swell and exceed, for a seed produces a plant which returns the favor with more seeds. So stop predicting what plant shall one day peek through, for tonight you dig in the dirt. You simply attend to the scars on your heart, the doubts that are unspoken, the act you put on to hide the fact that you're broken. Because without pain and the pressure, without the heartache and oppressors, we'd have no comprehension of the sunlight. Love itself would have nothing to put right, because love's very purpose is restoration, a grand, glorious, and divine demonstration of how God meets the world and writes into its pages a bigger meaning to life, an epic ending for the ages. And see, you and I were invited. As seeds in God's fields, we're united. Within the tear of our pits, we can empathize. And on the tips of our leaves, we can emphasize that our journey can have no substitution, for there must be conflict and climax before we reach resolution. And the sequence in which these events carry on is the universe orchestrating your perfect and unique song. So lift your head up and shine brightly. Hold those you love so very tightly, for when it feels darkest all around you, that's God saying, it's time to break on through.